What's going on to all my movie fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new movie review, and today we're discussing a new historical drama directed by Ridley Scott by the name of The Last Duel, a film that actually premiered at Venice Film Festival in September, made its way out to the UK October 3rd, and will be coming to the US market on October 15th. Now, I got a chance to recently check it out, and I'm really excited to let you all know what I thought about the film and let you know if it's worth checking out in this spoiler-free review. Before we break it all down, do me a favor and check me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you can get the alert for when I drop new content. If you enjoyed this spoiler-free review, well, make sure to like and share the review. It helps out the channel a lot, but also appreciate the support. And in those comments, let me know if The Last Duel was a film you were looking forward to seeing, but more importantly, once you've seen this film, what you think about it? Let's talk about the direction by Ridley Scott, the performances, the way that they told the story, the tackling of the subject matter. Were you disappointed? Were you happy? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. So for me personally, going into The Last Duel, this movie had a lot of things going for it. Number one, this cast is absolutely fantastic. I was really excited to see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck work together. It's been a very long time. They're the two best friends from Boston. They've written movies together, including this one. They co-wrote this script. They've starred in movies together, so I was really excited to see what they had to offer for, seeing them on the screen for a very long time. Jodie Comer is a fantastic actress, one of my favorites working in Hollywood. Adam Driver is just great in everything he's in. But I was looking at the secret sauce, and that is Ridley Scott, who we're going to talk about here in a second. But I was really excited to see which Ridley Scott will we be getting in this film. So let's kick things off with my positive, starting off with the man behind the camera, and that is the legend in my eyes in Ridley Scott. I mean, this man's career speaks for itself. I mean, you come out of the gate directing Alien and Blade Runner and just killing it in the 90s, Black Hawk Down, Gladiator, American Gangster. I mean, the man has legendary films under his belt. He has some films that are a little bit hit or miss. I know Prometheus and Alien Covenant and some of the other stuff like Robin Hood and The Counselor, which was horrendous. But listen, I am happy to report that Ridley Scott is on his A game in this film. We'll talk about the action a little bit later, but I really want to focus on the way Ridley Scott was able to tackle this subject matter. If you all aren't too familiar with the story, this is based on true events, which actually was also made into a book in 2004. And essentially, you have these two men, one by the name of John, who's a nobleman, who's a warrior, who wants to become a knight. He has his wife, Margaret, who was sexually assaulted by John's close friend and ally by the name of Jacques, who is played by Adam Driver. And we're essentially seeing this woman accusing this man of sexually assaulting him. And keep in mind, this is the 1300s. This is the 14th century in France. So things were extremely different as far as justice system and believing women and their truth. So seeing how Ridley Scott was able to tackle that subject matter, I was pleasantly surprised by, again, the dramatic beats, the lengths that they went to show the injustices that women went through during that time, still go through in this time in the Me Too era. And I was just very surprised by how they were able to really give justice to just not only different perspectives, but the truth and how the truth looks like. And hearing from a woman, and we'll get to Jodie a little bit later, but just seeing a woman's perspective and how she was treated during that time, how women were treated as property. You couldn't take their word for nothing. It was just a lot of stuff that was just terrible that women had to go through during that time. Like I said, still go through in today's society. But I thought it was very, very well handled by Ridley Scott and very timely as well. So I thought the direction was really good. But again, that was very surprising. But things that didn't surprise me, this is a medieval type of film, and this isn't an action movie by any means, but there are some battles and swords and blood and brutality and violence that I thought Ridley Scott, he always does a great job in. But I thought the battles were great. There is a duel in this movie because the men have to fight to the death to, John protected his wife or Jacques protected his name. The duel is incredible. I'll just say that, ladies and gentlemen. It is worth the wait when you see it in the film. It is very brutal. It is very violent. I got clenched up many times, and it really created stakes in this film, which I love when films have stakes. And the stakes in this movie is life or death. So I thought that the duel was incredibly shot by Ridley Scott. So he was fantastic in my opinion, but I want to touch on these performances, starting off with, the film, not to give too much away, but essentially this film was broken up into 3 chapters. So I want to start with one of the earlier chapters, which is Matt Damon, who he plays John. I think out of the main cast, he was fine. Matt Damon's a legend in his own right, but I thought that he was fine in his role. He is someone that, again, he believes in honor. He marries this young lady to kind of get a little bit of notoriety. He's kind of falling short on finances, so it kind of benefits him in that that sense, and he wants to become a knight. But every time he looks around, he has Ben Affleck's character played Pierre, who's like in a position of power, who constantly keeps breaking him down, and you have his squire who gets more opportunities than him. So you're seeing his journey throughout the story, and I thought that his first chapter was okay. But this is where one of my positives lie in. The film gets better as it goes on. Chapter 1 was an interesting setup, but it's not until we get into Chapter 2, which focuses on Adam Driver's character, Jacques, who is he's a ladies' man. He has his ways with his words, and he's very kind of conniving. Can you trust him? Can you not trust him? We see the story through his eyes because he's the accuser of taking advantage of John's wife. And seeing Adam Driver, again, I've seen a lot of Adam Driver content, TV shows like Girls, movies that he's been in, and I can honestly say I have never seen a bad Adam Driver performance, and this continues that momentum in this film. He's incredible. He is incredible in this movie. You just see him manipulating certain things. You see how the perspective through his eyes, how he views the situation at hand, how he is just continuously putting this woman down and covering up for his life and covering up his tracks and his love for Margaret. I mean, again, Adam Driver, when you all see the film, and if you all that have seen the film in the comments, you can go ahead and confirm Adam Driver is fantastic in this movie. But I have to talk about one of the most important chapters and the star of this movie who stole every single scene, and that is Jodie Comer, who, like I said up top, this young lady, whether it's Killing Eve and seeing her transition into movies, small role and Rise of Skywalker, most recently in Free Guy, she was my favorite character. I think this is an Academy Award nominating performance by Jodie Comer in this film. Seeing her as Margaret, as a young girl getting married against her own will, because again, back then it was just like marry off your daughters for land, for money, and all this stuff. Seeing her get into this marriage, seeing her try to be the best wife that she can do, helping her husband with the finances, helping him with the farm, helping him with his land, getting his name out there, and then seeing what happens to her, which, by the way, those scenes, and we see the allegation, the scene, I don't want to use the word because YouTube flags it, but when we see the scene, it's brutal. It is very heartbreaking, and Jodie delivers in every single department. Everything she's asked to do in this film, she does that times 10. I'm not speaking hyperbole. I do think she will be nominated for this role because she was fantastic in this movie. She was so believable. Again, she has so much heart, so much vulnerability, so much strength, so much courage to speak up during these times. I can't stress enough. This is the 14th century. This was when women were treated like property and had no say, no votes, and just seeing her courage to be able to speak up for what went down, it was fantastic. And I thought that her chapter really kind of showed the heart of the film. So again, I talked about the direction, talked about the performances. I briefly touched on the action, which is really well done. Again, this isn't an action movie, but when you get the action, it's really well done by Ridley Scott, which I come to expect. But again, that duel, ladies and gentlemen, that actual duel, when we see that fight, the stakes are there and the brutality is there. So those are my main positives I took away from the story, from the film. But I do want to touch a little bit on the story before I jump into my criticisms. Again, I really do applaud how they tackle women in society and the norms and you trusting men and, the position of power, like when you get with Ben Affleck's character and how he's able to sweep things under the rug for his close friend. Seeing, again, Jodie Comer speak her truth and how they tackled that was really well done to me. And it was very timely how this film is handled because, again, this is 1300s, 14th century, and there's a lot of things that we can see in today's society that this film tackles on. So I really do applaud how they handled the narrative and the subject matter in this film. But let me transition to my criticism. I don't have many with this film, but I have to say, I applaud Jodie Comer, her performance, and she gets, her chapter is the most heartbreaking, but I do feel like her chapter wasn't as fleshed out as I personally would have loved to have dove deeper into the aspects of her narrative. Again, this film is broken up into 3 chapters. From 3 is essentially the same situation, just played out in 3 different perspectives. John's perspective, Jacques' perspective, and Margaret's perspective. And again, hers is the most heartfelt and the most heartbreaking at the same time, but I felt like it just should have stretched out a little bit longer and just developed a little bit more. Again, it's all great stuff that we see, but I wish they would have pushed the envelope and pushed the narrative a little bit more and a little bit more character growth within that moment of her scenes. But again, she was great for what she did. I just wish there was a little bit more from that. And then I gotta say, secondary characters were okay in this movie. I wanted more from Ben Affleck's character. He is mostly focused on the second act, which is Adam Driver's story. He's the position of power. He's the guy that, sweeps. He takes advantage of women himself. He has a wife. He has 8 kids, but he's sleeping around with women. I thought that Ben Affleck, I don't want to say he was miscasted, but I feel like he was used as kind of like comic relief, and not comic relief, but kind of levity to the story. And I just didn't feel like his character really gave me what I was really kind of hoping for in that role. Again, Ben Affleck's great, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he was kind of misplaced in regards to the way he portrayed his character. But outside of those things, ladies and gentlemen, I really enjoyed this film. So before I give you all my overall score and let you know it's worth checking out, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So overall, The Last Duel, I mentioned it, but Ridley Scott does a great job of telling this narrative, handled the drama and the subject matter really well. And of course, as we come to know, Ridley Scott is fantastic in the action realm. And when it comes down to that duel, it was brutal, it was fantastic, and it had stakes, ladies and gentlemen. But again, I can't applaud enough the performances, and particularly Adam Driver and Jodie Comer, who I do think will get nominated for an Oscar. That's how great her performance is. There were some shortcomings in the film in regards to that particular part of her narrative, which was fleshed out more. This film's about 2.5 hours. Is a little bit of a slow burn at points. There are lulls in the film, but overall, ladies and gentlemen, I recommend you all check out The Last Duel. Put it on your calendar, and when you do, let me know what you thought of it. With all that being said, I'm going to give The Last Duel a solid 3.5 out of 5. I was really impressed by this because I was, again, Ridley Scott, hit or miss. This is more of a hit versus a miss to me, and I recommend you all give this a watch. And when you do, like I said, let me know in the comments your pros, your cons, your thoughts on the performances. Do you think Jodie Comer will get nominated? Do you think Adam Driver might get a nomination? And let me know all your positives and negatives in the comments below. If you stuck around to this point in the video, I appreciate every single one of you all. Before you leave, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my other content. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to the channel. Check out my other content. We'll see you on the next video.